Good morning. I'm Adriano from the European Startup Association, and today we have another interview with one of our members, precisely one of our investors. And thank you, Brian, for being with us today. And please, can you introduce briefly yourself?
Okay, thank you, Adriano. I'm Brian Williamson, reside in Scotland in the UK, and currently on lockdown, as many people are. And I've been running businesses now for 38 years at board level. So I was an early adopter at the age of 26, and I've been managing people for about 43 years. So all told, I've had lots of experience, lots of different things. Initially, I'm a qualified engineer and ran companies for others, and as the managing director. And after about 12 years, I moved to become an entrepreneur. And that was a business startup where I joined forces with friends of a friend and moved into that sector. And I've cycled in and out of businesses as an entrepreneur ever since. So I've got many years' experience of managing people in situations. On many occasions, I've sold 10 companies I've been involved in. So that's been good. The last one was last year. And I had a bit of a life-changing event in 2015 when I was diagnosed with colon cancer, and that changed my perspective. I was given that second chance, and I didn't want to retire, despite the fact having sold a few businesses. It was within my gift to do that. I decided to continue in business because business is actually my passion. I just love business and business models. So today I changed at that point to not having any CEO responsibilities, because a CEO is a totally different job to say a chairman. A CEO has the power to say, Adriano, we are not doing that. And that's very powerful. Whereas a chairman is using the art of persuasion to say you may want to consider other options. So it's a different job. However, the stress of being in a business from either startup or even in a high growth situation is quite significant. And often, as many people say, you don't realize you're under stress until it's gone, because you believe it's just your norm. That changed my life, and I'm now involved in 4 different businesses in different business sectors. And what I would say is some of the attributes towards success is different in different companies. However, looking at the potential market opportunities, I have a bit of a formula about what I can get excited about. And a big addressable market is one thing, but a real solution to a problem. So if we look at the current situation we're in at the moment, we're in a situation where a vaccine is obviously a solution to a very big problem, a global one to boot. And the impact that problem has on people, their health, for the first thing to mention, is severe. There's a potential to die. But on their wealth, as the circular economy has more or less come to a halt. So it's a health and wealth. That's really big agenda. It's very hard to get a product or service offering that can do both of these, but that's a good example of an extreme advantage. I think the thing,
May I ask you one thing?
Yeah.
Because I'm reading on your back, why not? It is a sort of attitude formula for the entrepreneurs. Why not?
Yeah.
And so you told us that you faced a lot of challenges as an entrepreneur and as a human being in your life. And what are the learnings that you had from your side facing challenges? How facing challenges improves your attitude and your awareness of real life?
Good question. I'd say from a point of view, I did a webinar this morning for the Institute of Directors And I said at the start, I'll put up my flip chart at the back here, an inspirational quote, which is by Robert F. Kennedy. And it says, some men see things as they are and ask why. I dream of things that never were and ask why not. So I think I call it the ability to be audaciously aspirational. And I do think that's the positive way I've looked at things. So your why not comment there is, could you be a global unicorn? Why not? Rather than looking at the confines and the box that you put yourself in. I would say the challenge is that I do believe there's two outcomes of anything you decide, and it's either success or it's learning. And often it's quite hard to explain to someone, say to a child, if you put your hand in the fire, it's hot, and they try to describe to you what a burn feels like. But boy, if you put your hand in the fire, you know what hot feels like, you know what a burn feels like. Just see how this is going to impact your learning later on. So in the 90s, when I almost lost everything I own, I learned something that made sure I didn't gamble when the stakes were that high ever again, which probably saved me in many an occasion. So I think, and I do think a challenge is just, it's an opportunity to show off your talents. So when you come up against an obstacle, I look upon it positively, because I say that the people who are not willing to put their shoulder to the wheel and overcome this challenge, they'll be left behind that barrier, and there'll be fewer people in the race to compete against me. So challenges for me are really good things, as opposed to, I wish we didn't have them.
And on the challenges, what are in your mind and in your experience, most of all, the main characteristics of a very successful team of a startup?
I think there has to be a mix of talents in there. The business we sold last year was in the business of research and development tax relief, and we had 4 founders, including myself, and we all had different talents. And to begin with, when you're in a high growth situation, we all focused on different things, one on technical, one on brand and image, one on quality and infrastructure, one on business development, sales, and noise in the marketplace. And when you focus on one thing without any discussion with anyone else, someone's selling more than you can deliver, but that's what you want. But once you get to a scale and size, there is then a need to converge and come together as a team. A lot of business startups have the hunting in a pack mentality. We'll all go to this meeting and we'll all decide about this. It's about dividing responsibilities to individuals and understanding that that individual has a strength, and your job is to rely on them to deliver that part of the equation. So we're all ingredients in a really good recipe.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. If you could suggest something for to the startups, to the members of the startup, what are the best tips you could say to them, you could give them to make their business successful?
It would be easy to say that funding is an important thing, but when we started our R&D business, which at that time was called Jumpstart, we had no money. It was the start of a recession in 2008. We worked and got paid on a contingent basis, so it took us 9 months after we started working to actually get any money. And we managed to grow that business, and for within 2 years and for 3 years in a row, we were the fastest growing SME in Scotland. And we did that without any money. It is easy to hide behind the money thing. I do think there's other options and solutions. However, from a funding perspective, if you feel there's no option but to get funding, creating that compelling business proposition is essential. And that is making sure that you can identify in some depth the problem to which your product or service offering is a solution to. And that problem, there's a variety of things that come after that, which is your pricing and margin, it's your route to market, the client's ability to pay. So I once sold submersible pumps for groundwater extraction, the biggest markets in Africa, but the best paying market was in the offshore oil and gas. So despite I could sell 1,000 times more to Africa, they had no money, they had no ability to pay. And therefore I had to go to the market which was rich with ability to pay and sell a premium product. So I sold many fewer items than I would have if I'd gone to Africa, but I sold them at a much better margin. Understand the problem really well that you're a solution to. That's why people spinning out of a business who say, this has always been a problem. If you look at MailChimp as a good example, people couldn't do email marketing campaigns because they didn't have the really expensive tools and resources and software to do that until something like MailChimp came along. And what that did is it put the power in the hands of the SME to be able to compete with larger companies. So that was a pretty good solution to what was quite a widespread problem. So that for me is the big key thing, is focus on that problem and things could come from there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So I want to thank you again, Brian, because it's a pleasure and to have you on board in this our project, European Startup Association. I hope to see you soon in person, sooner, afterwards all these tough times. And see you again.
Yes, that was great. Good to speak to you, Adriano, and stay safe in this troublesome times, and hopefully we'll be back to meeting up human to human soon.
Hope so. Thank you.
Good.